Are you ready for a reboot? Welcome to the Sheila Mack Show, reality at its finest. History reminds us those hit hardest often become the change makers. This year, we've all hit crazy economic, social, and emotional rock bottoms. We all get knocked down. Something hits globally, locally, personally. It affects our health, finances, our relationships. We have to recreate a business or career. Each show, Sheila and her special guest will be sharing their reboot stories, guiding you with real solutions to upgrade and up-level emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, and financially.
Welcome to the Sheila Mack Show, reality at its finest. Here we have real people sharing real stories and actionable steps to help you reinvent, rebuild, and reboot your business and personal life on your terms. I'm your host, Sheila Mack, and today we have special guest, Doug Evans. Doug is a former co-founder of Organic Avenue and founder of Juicero. He's also the pioneer of the sprouting movement. He has been channeling the power of sprouts and his transformative plans into the Sprouts book, or the Sprout book, and advising tens of thousands of people on the ancient wisdom of sprouts as a food source. Currently living in the California desert, he is sprouting daily, growing a majority of his food in his own countertop garden, and he is creating a radical shift in wellness through his discussion of growing sprouts and their healing benefits. Wow, that's so interesting. All right, well, welcome to the show, Doug.
Thank you so much for having me, Sheila. I really appreciate you and taking the initiative to make this happen.
All right, and one of the first questions I like to ask my guests is, now this show came about based on my new best-selling book, Bootstraps and Bra Straps, the formula to go from rock bottom back into action in any situation. And I wrote that book and it came out, and then the pandemic hit. And we have been hit basically with just about every situation imaginable and then some. So I'd like maybe if you could share a time in your business or personal life where you hit a tough situation and how you got back on track.
Yeah, I think, so many, right? So many. I think that, I had a big vision for my last company, Juicero, that I really believed that plants were good for people, that the U.S. dietary guidelines recommended 7 to 13 servings of fruits and vegetables every day. The average American was consuming less than one, and that could be French fries or ketchup, right? So, like in my life, I transformed myself by eating whole food, plant-based, fresh, ripe, raw, organic fruits and vegetables. And one of the key things for me was juice. So cold-pressed, organic green juice. It's low in calories, it's low in sugar, it's high in chlorophyll, and it's high in micronutrients. So I really believed in that. And in the research that I did, most people who drank coffee, who had an espresso machine, were using that once or twice a day, whether it was a Keurig or an espresso machine. But people who had a home juicer were using it once or twice a month, where the Keurig and espresso were once or twice a day. So I had this big vision to see how could I make it easier for people to consume fresh juice. And juice in a bottle is typically majority, like 99%, legally must be pasteurized if they make juice in a bottle. So I believed in freshness. I wanted fresh. So my concept was I would take fresh produce, triple wash it, dice it, slice it, chop it, shred it, prepare it to go into a juice press, and then invent the juice press so that people could literally in 2 minutes take the pack out of the refrigerator, put it in the machine, press one button, and make juice. And that was like my vision. So fast forward 3 years later, I launched this company. And as opposed to people loving it, on the majority, we had thousands of people loving it, and they were using it exactly like what I thought, twice a day, 9.2 times a week. We sold thousands of machines. Revenue grew to $1 million a month. And then out of kind of craziness, the media said, oh, this was their narrative. Doug creates a $700 juicer for rich a-holes, and you don't need to use the machine at all because you could squeeze the pack by hand. And of course you could squeeze the pack by hand. It was chopped and shredded produce and cheesecloth, but no one wanted to squeeze it by hand, and which was indicated when we offered any person who bought the machine the ability to refund it if they didn't like it. And no one returned the machine. Like less than 5% of people returned the machine. But bad narrative in the media meant I got fired, and they shut the company down and sold the assets. So here I was, someone whose heart was out there wanting to people to be healthier, got caught in Silicon Valley excess crossfire, and had to think about, okay, what was I going to do? And what helped me along the way was that I knew that what I did was good. Mm-hmm. It was really good. And I knew my intentions were very pure and authentic. Right. So I went to the desert. And so I moved to the desert, and originally just to be alone, right? I wanted to have my space. I didn't need to be in Silicon Valley or New York or LA. So I moved to the desert. And in the desert, the first thing I discovered was that I was in a food desert, right? I'm not just in a desert, I'm in a food desert. And the only food around here was 7-Eleven, Circle K gas station, McDonald's, Taco Bell, Burger King. Mm-hmm. So there was nothing that I could eat in any of those places. And not only am I an environmentalist and I didn't want to be in the car for 3 hours to drive to Palm Springs to go to the organic grocer. So I said, aha, I'm going to grow sprouts. So this was in the back of my mind. I had been sprouting on and off for 25 years, but sprouts were always a garnish in my life, right? So there was superfood, but they were a garnish. I would add them to a soup, add them to a salad, have them a sandwich. But now I said, can sprouts be the staple of my diet, right? Could they be an integral part of my lifestyle? And turns out within 30 days, most of my calories were coming from sprouts. It was fascinating, mind-blowing that these little seeds, mm-hmm. when you add water, would grow into vegetables that you could eat, that turns out were not only adequate nutrition, they were incredible levels of nutrition with multiples of 20 to 50 times more nutritious than their mature vegetable counterparts. So that was like, whoa. So I'm still living modestly in the desert by myself. And now in 1 cubic foot, I'm growing most of my calories, most of my nutrition. And then I was concerned, like, I can't be the only one doing this. And turns out like there are some people sprouting, but no one was using it as a food source. And I said, there must be a reason why. Uh-huh. Right. And I thought the reason why was maybe it wasn't good for you. Maybe it wasn't healthy. Maybe it was incomplete. And it turns out it was the opposite, that sprouts were super nutrition, super levels of micronutrients, phytonutrients, polyphenols, bioflavonoids, prebiotics, probiotics, every essential amino acid to form complete high quality proteins. And I realized that we live in a convenience culture, that in low income, people would just eat junk food. And in high income, they were suffering from the disease of affluence, mm-hmm. and they were eating expensive junk food. They just didn't know it was junk food. So I said, I've got to get this message out to the world. And no college degree. Basically, I've just been a graphic designer, and then I ran, juice things. And so I said, I got to write this book. I got to get this message out there. So I flew to New York. I had a meeting with one publisher, Macmillan, one of the largest publishers in the world, and their imprint, St. Martin's Press. And I pitched them the Sprout book. And I brought recipes made with sprouts. And I brought raw individual sprouts. And I was like on sprout fire, right? On fire with sprouts. And the editor, Elizabeth Beyer, was literally like eating sprouts out of the palm of my hand. And she said, let's do this. And now the book is in the 6th printing. Wow. It's in the top 5,000 books of all books on Amazon. It's selling every day. And I'm getting thousands of messages from around the world of people showing me their bounty, showing me their crops, showing me their children sprouting, their spouses sprouting, them sprouting, feeding sprouts to their dogs. And I feel that my prior journey was the stepping stone to a bigger vision, a bigger mission. And, you know, I'm like, I think I'm on top of my game right now.
Wow. That is incredible. And so interesting. I think about when this pandemic universal pause happened and we weren't sure if we were going to get food or not get food, or the stores were going to close or what. And we thought, okay, let's try to grow food. And I bought all these hydroponic things and and I thought, oh my gosh, my daughter and I laughed and I said, well, I think we're going to starve. It wasn't working out. And we didn't think about sprouting anything. If only I had your book back then.
Well, you know, Sheila, the interesting thing is, like, I love all those various technologies. The reality is most things that people grow take weeks, months, or years. Sprouts take days, right? And when you can sprout food in days, and like, you know, these are soybean sprouts, about 3 days old, growing their tails. You could see they're starting to get green and get their tails. These literally take some soybeans, put them in a jar, add some water, rinse them twice a day, and you've got the most nutritious form of soy that's living, sprouting, enzymatically rich, bioavailable, unprocessed, for pennies a serving, right? I mean, that's the mind-boggling thing, that you can buy seeds in bulk for low cost, and get all these benefits.
Oh, that's incredible. That's so smart. And I know just from my own puppy dog, she likes my salads. She like, isn't that weird? Like, she eats the healthy food that I didn't even know dogs ate vegetables. My dog eats my vegetables. She eats broccoli. It's like the weirdest thing.
No, I mean, it's normal. It's normal. I mean, dogs are smart. Dogs are smart. And the thing is, dogs don't understand, you know, TV commercials, right? So they're not going to come and beg you to take them to some fast food restaurant, you know, where they've got yellow and red, you know, packaging and branding, right? The dogs want things that are real. You know, like, dogs are innocent and tuned in.
Yes. I mean, if we have a salad, whenever we try to have a salad every day, the dog will beg for the salad. Anything in the salad. It's not kidding, which is like, I didn't even know. So,
well, that's the interesting thing is, you can grow your own salads, right? When I make a salad, I'm adding, like, take a look at these. These are lentils that are sprouting, and you could see the green, that this is a 1 gallon like glass jar that they use like in a restaurant, you know, for like pickles or something. And then I just put some cheesecloth on the top here with a rubber band, and I put the lentils in, and the lentils grow into vegetables. So check this out. When you take a lentil and you sprout a lentil, in 3 days, you double the antioxidant levels, you triple the vitamin C, and you quadruple the fiber. It's like, why isn't everyone eating sprouted lentils, right? Not to mention you're reducing the phytic acid and the lectins, and you're going through the biological transformation of taking the lentil from a legume into a vegetable. And I think most people would agree that vegetables are good for you.
That is incredible. Now, have you noticed with the people that have been sprouting based on your book, have they reported changes in their health, or I don't know, did they go through food withdrawals, or what was the difference in energy? What kind of...
I mean, look, I think that now, and look, I realize, this is our first time of really interacting, right, Sheila? So I just want to say anything that I say, you should verify with whatever sources you want to use,
Right.
fact checkers and the like, etc. I look at sprouts as three things. Number one, I look at them as food, right? Not just as like sprouts or garnish. I look at sprouts as food. Number two, I look at sprouts as vitamins and minerals. So as opposed to taking a multivitamin, I'm growing my own multivitamins that are rich in everything that I need, vitamins and minerals. So every benefit that exists in every vegetable exists in sprouts, right? So sprouts to me are vitamins, nutrition, right? And number three, and this is research coming out of esteemed universities like Johns Hopkins and all around the world, that sprouts are medicine, that treating cancer, right? Cancer patients post-op with sprouts, and particularly cruciferous vegetables like broccoli sprouts have these anti-cancer healing compounds that actually can kill cancer cells. Doesn't cure cancer. So let's just be clear, it's not curing cancer, but people going through treatment, people that have cancer are getting positive reaction from the benefits of sprouting. The research for autism, that there's something in the sulforaphane from broccoli sprouts that actually creates heat shock proteins in the brain of people who suffer with autism. And when they are getting that heat shock protein reaction, they are lessening their symptoms of autism. Wow. Holy cow. People that are overweight, right? When they're eating sprouts, they're getting high levels of protein, high levels of fiber, and low calories. So just think about that in the Weight Watcher system, their sprouts are 0 points in the system. So you can pretty much go to town on sprouts. So the key and the secret is eating sprouts when you're hungry on an empty stomach. Because no one wants to eat sprouts after Ben & Jerry's, right? No one wants to eat sprouts after they're eating the Big Mac. But if you're hungry, you will eat the sprouts. And if you eat enough of the sprouts when you're hungry, your brain and your body, biologically, psychologically, physically, will become satiated. And then there will be no room to eat the other junk. So the results that I'm getting, I mean, we're on like day, where the book launched April 7th. So we're 9 months into the book. But I've got like the CEO of Spartan Race, who's training kids going into the Olympics, and getting me on the phone and getting those people onto sprouts, getting their parents onto sprouts. So there's athletes, all sorts of people now consuming sprouts. And I think that what people will get is they will get energy, they will get nourishment. And the leading gastroenterologist, Dr. Will Bisowitz, right? The Gut Health MD, right? With, over 250,000 followers on Instagram, New York Times best-selling book, is sprouting and recommending sprouting to his patients, to his followers. He included 2 chapters in his book fiber fueled on sprouts. So this is not, just someone talking about sprouts. Like sprouts are the future of nutrition, and they're low cost, they're fast to grow, they're highly accessible, highly nutritious, and versatile in recipes. When I wrote the book, the Sprout book, I was questioning how people are going to consume a lot of sprouts. So I hired and partnered with the author who created the recipes for Oprah Winfrey's cookbook, right? So, and I said to her, I want to create 40 recipes with you that are 100% plant-based, that are all raw, and that have massive, copious amounts of sprouts in them. And so we put in recipes in the book.
Nice.
Like that Goji almond bites using sprouted almonds, medjool dates, shredded coconut, vanilla, a 1/4 cup sprouted sunflower seeds, and 2 tablespoons of cacao nibs. We've got the cilantro mint chutney, 1/4 cup of water, 2 tablespoons of lime juice, 2 cups of mature mung beans, 2 cups of fresh cilantro, mint leaves, 1/4 cup of cashew, medjool dates. I'm getting hungry just reading this thing. Crunchy sprout celery apple salad with golden tahini dressing, unfried kimchi rice, and a zuki sprout bowl. So basically making rice out of cauliflower and then using kimchi, which is a Korean fermented cabbage, and then adding azuki sprouted beans. Avocado sprout boats with clover, garam masala lentils with cauliflower rice, the quinoa tabbouleh, lemon cauliflower salad. I mean, it's unbelievable. You could have more than one different dish every day for a month, and you pick the things that you like.
Now, let me ask you, for those listening in who maybe are going from not so healthy, or maybe they got the COVID 25 or plus or whatever, and now they're like, okay, this sounds great. I want to add this in slowly or daily, maybe as a garnish, and then kind of ease into it. What would you suggest for people starting out from zero?
I think that zero. Look, I don't want people to be like me. I love and honor where people are in their journey, right? So what I want to say is add sprouts to your diet. Add sprouts to your diet. It's as easy to start as getting a mason jar with some cheesecloth and a rubber band and some organic sprouting seeds online. Easy to find. Just Google organic sprouting seeds. And then easiest place to start, French lentils. They sprout in 24, 48 hours. You're in business, and lentils are familiar. When you sprout them, they're just healthier. And then you can still use whatever, preferably better, but you can use whatever marinara sauce, pesto sauce, tahini sauce, balsamic vinegar, olive oil. Add your sauces to it, and they just become a filler. So you just start adding them to whatever you're eating, and then know that you are consuming the healthiest food on the planet. Like eating sprouts is like connecting with primal plant intelligence. Every single seed is a complete living organism in a dormant state. And you become the master controller, partner, representer of nature to add some water to activate and germinate that dormant seed and unleash that fire to turn it into a vegetable.
Yes, that's incredible. Now, are you still doing juicing too in your diet, or is that?
I drink wheatgrass juice and I drink some sprout juice. But for the most part, I don't have access to organic vegetables other than sprouts. So it's only what I can sprout here. I still love juicing, right? I love drinking spring water and I love juicing. The thing that I can juice here easily is wheatgrass juice because I can grow my own. Look at this. This is I'm growing some wheatgrass here. Look at these.
Wow.
These are wheat berry, and they're sprouting. Let me look at that.
I see. And then you just juice those.
Well, no. These will grow. I take those, I put them on an unbleached paper towel on a little like screen rack. And then I got a spray bottle and I'm spraying them a couple times a day and they'll grow to 4-inch tall blades of grass. Wow. Then I snip the grass and I throw them in the wheatgrass juicer.
I see. Yes, that is very good. And that's like chlorophyll. Wheatgrass gives you a lot of chlorophyll. Is that
chlorophyll,
right?
Yeah, which is the energy of the sun. The wheatgrass processes through photosynthesis the energy of the sun into that green, and that green is a powerful antioxidant.
So good. And you don't take any supplements?
No.
Wow.
And I'm 54 years old, and I feel better than I did when I got out of the Army, whatever, like 35 years ago or some crazy number like that.
Did you eat like everyday food back then?
Oh, back then. I mean, I remember like one of my last meals in New York City, me and my close friend, we were like in Chinatown and it was raining and we were so hungry. We went to this Chinese restaurant. There was a line out the door. And by the time we got to the food, there was no seating, but up there, I said, well, let's just get to go. And we ordered a duck that was hanging in the window. And the guy was getting ready to chop it up. He said, no, just give us a duck. And we gave him $10. And then we went and we're sitting on the stoop like cannibals, tearing apart the duck, eating the neck, eating the fat, eating the skin, chewing on the bone marrow.
Oh, boy.
And so, I mean, I was like a normal eater, I guess.
Wow. Wow. So at some point, what was it that changed your idea of eating to go healthy? What was there a point in your life where
yeah, definitely. I can remember it very clearly. My aunt became overweight and then had diabetes. And then 6 months later, they chopped off her feet below her ankles.
My goodness.
And then my uncle got heart disease and died. Then my other uncle got heart disease and died. Then my aunt got IBS and colitis. And then ultimately, my aunt and my mother both had stomach cancer and died. And then my father died of heart disease. And then my brother, who was only 2 years older than me, became overweight, obese, diabetic, hypertension, atrial fibrillation, and had the first of 3 strokes and a heart attack.
Oh my goodness.
And I thought like, holy cow, I'm genetically cursed.
Yeah.
Right. It doesn't matter what I do because I'm going to die. And then like I met someone who was eating the whole food plant-based diet and their sister died of leukemia. Their mother died of cancer. So we connected on that level. And she had said, I mean, she was healthy, beautiful, vibrant, physically fit. And she says, oh, Doug, it's not genetics. It is lifestyle that, think about what your entire family had in common. They ate cooked food, processed food, refined food, meat, dairy, animal products, right? Bread, pizza, pasta, candy, soda, right? And I said, yeah, well, like what else are you going to eat? Like that's what, food was to me, right? And in a 2-week period in April 1999, I went cold cucumber and I went from eating all that junk to vegetarian, vegan, and then raw vegan.
Wow.
And I've been all vegan 100% for 21 years, but I've been raw vegan for probably the greater portion of 17 or 18 years. And I am right now 100% raw vegan.
So do you do anything hot as far as like hot tea, hot?
Occasionally, like ceremonial tea, at a more for social things, but herbal tea, green tea, no sugar,
No.
no caffeine, no milk, or no processed things at all. So I mean, what I eat is I eat fruits, I eat vegetables, I eat salads, I make my own dressing using tahini, avocados. I eat ferments, so we make our own sauerkrauts, in the house. I also ferment some sprouts. We eat seaweed. And like that's what we do. And I feel phenomenal.
Wow, that's incredible. Do you do stevia and monk fruit or not even that?
Unnecessary. I eat dates. I'll show you. I buy dates in 11-kilo boxes. So 22-pound big boxes of fresh local medjool dates, from Palm Desert.
Wow, that's incredible. So your grocery bill must be extremely low.
Very low.
Overall.
Very low. Yeah. I mean, I'm probably consuming maybe $40, $50 a month in food.
Incredible. And super healthy.
Yeah. And look, I think that what happens is most people, myself included, were addicted or are addicted to fat, sugar, and salt. Right. And if you were to take raw broccoli and give it to anybody, right, if they're really hungry, they'll eat some of it. Right. You take that same raw broccoli and you saute it with oil, with salt, with sugar, with seasoning, people will be able to polish any amount of it away. They'll just be able to eat it. So there's something that happens with the dopamine and the serotonin in the brain and the flavor sensors to make you overeat. So if you do the simplest thing and you give up adding oils and sugars, and salts, then you won't it'll be very hard to overeat because the food will just be bland. Right? Yeah. The food will just be bland. And there's no excitement when you're eating the bland food. There's just health. So it's a long-term perspective to eat that way. But I have another success story. I was in Bali in December 2018, and I'm under a waterfall. And
all right, so I wanted to share about my incredibly interesting blessings that showed up. This is so interesting. What happened, first of all, was like a week and a half, almost 2 weeks ago, I had a flat tire, and that was after getting 4 brand new tires. And I was like, okay, well, maybe it's protection or maybe it's something, I don't know what. And I try to stay really positive, but I was a little frustrated. I had to miss some classes and take Uber to different places, and which I love Uber, it's fine, but it still was inconvenient in some respects. But I was really positive about it. And I said, there's got to be something. Wild thing. Then I went with my daughter to this workout place we go to that's way across town. We go like once a week. And so this Osteo Strong place. And so I went over there, and apparently I gave them the key for something to plug in the machine or whatever with my little, I don't know, tab or whatever they have, electronic pass. And I didn't get my key back. And so I come home and I was like, where's my keys? So I couldn't get the tire fixed. And then we finally went back the next week, and because we only go once a week, this is like a once a week thing you do. And we go back, and there are my keys. And I mean, I looked over, I uncovered everything in my house. I cleaned under things I've never cleaned under before. I moved furniture. I had people help me. I was like, I have never lost my keys in my life. So I'm like, okay, what is going on with these keys? Well, I just said, there's got to be a meaning for this, a reason for this. Well, right before we had returned was this big flood. And this is at my vacation home. And so Vegas, they had this big flood. I would have been on those streets with the big flood, and that would have been really bad. So I was guarded by angels and guided and protected. And then as soon as the storm passed and it was safe, I find my keys. And today I went out and I had this big productive day. I worked with my clients on the phone, but I also finally got the tow truck because for some reason I didn't have a spare tire. So I had to have the tow people tow me to the service center. And one of the questions I asked was, how can this, even this, okay, it's not convenient to have your tow card, your car towed, and have to, borrow a car to get there and sit around with service all day. I said, how can this be magical and fun and beautiful today? I really did this. I was all by myself and I said it out loud. How can this be more magical, fun, positive, and beautiful today? And I said it a few times all the way, as I drove over in my daughter's car. And the service people were so nice and everybody was extremely friendly. And across the street, not that far, I just walked over while I was waiting. It was my favorite place to get my nails done. So I got my nails done. And then I said, but I've been stuck at home and I really wanted to get my hair done, get my hair cut. And so I went over and I called and they had one cancellation. So they had an opening late. So at the end of the day, I was able to run over, get my hair cut, still get back in time to do my evening work with clients, teaching a webinar. And I said, wow, I really like that. How can things get even better? So that might be an affirmation or a question to just send out there this week. And remember, if something isn't going right, if it feels like it's going wrong, often it's going to be even better or it's for your protection. Keep that in mind, and I'm sending you love and light this week.
Go to www.beyondthenest.org to learn more about their incredible travel retreats and how they can help you create a travel and remote work lifestyle, a lifestyle redesign on your terms. If you are just tuning in, this is the Sheila Mack Show on NBC's KCAA Radio, the station that leaves no listener behind. And today, I'd like to share with you a chapter in my new best-selling book, Bootstraps and Bra Straps, the formula to go from rock bottom back into action in any situation. So take a listen. Chapter 10. Self-care and spirituality. Lisa's husband passed away. As a couple, they had recently agreed that they were going to sell their house and move to a retirement community, and now she had to do that alone. Between the loss of her husband and the home her son had grown up in, Lisa was hit with a double whammy of grief. As anyone who has lost someone knows, grief causes stress levels to rise exponentially. On top of that, selling a house and moving, even when it's a planned, happier move, is also stressful and can be unsettling. You lose things, objects get broken, and you have to readjust to a new place. Lisa wasn't just moving away from the house where she'd raised her son. She was also leaving the neighborhood she'd lived in for 45 years, where her friends lived, and where she volunteered in the community. She felt she was losing everything in her life at once. Lisa and I started talking because she needed some support through all these decisions and upheaval. She was even overwhelmed with things she was usually quite good at, her paperwork and taxes, because of all the changes she was going through at once. As we talked, she told me how she took care of her husband, her son, and her community. But she had never taken time for herself, and now she was faced with too much time. I gave her the challenge of doing one thing for herself every day, as if she was doing it for her husband or close friend. If someone showed up on her doorstep in pain, stressed out, or going through something, Lisa would drop everything to help that person. Now, though, that person would be her. She was going to give herself as much attention, honor, and love as she gave to so many other people. And I asked her to send me pictures of her doing these things so she would be held accountable. At first she was like, "Are you crazy?" I promised her it would help, even though she thought it would be dumb. For me, I told her, do it for me if you're not going to do it for yourself. The first day, Lisa sent me a picture of herself getting her nails done with the text, "I haven't had my nails done in months, not since before Dave got sick. It felt so good, and you were right. I kind of needed that break." "Great," I replied. "What are you doing tomorrow?" From survival mode to self-care. When we hit rock bottom situations in life, it tends to send us into survival mode. And when we're in that place, we're so busy making ends meet, struggling with grief, loss, and pain, and dealing with whatever is going on that we don't have a choice but to eliminate some of the things we usually do. When we have to go to work, then go visit somebody in the hospital, then pick up your kids, and you still have to make dinner and maintain a certain level of cleanliness in your home, or whatever duties you have to do, taking an hour for yourself to go to the gym or meditate gets pushed aside. It's just today, you tell yourself, but then tomorrow comes and goes, and another day and another. The next thing you know, it's been a month or two, and then you really start to notice the difference. One day, you wake up and you're not who you used to be. When you aren't practicing self-care, it shows up all over. Maybe you're exhausted and not sleeping right. Maybe you're off your healthy diet. Perhaps you've pushed your meditation practice and it's showing up at work or with relationships. You start snapping at people you would never snap at. When you're already at rock bottom with one situation and then you realize how many of your healthy habits went in the fallout, it can be overwhelming. You've hit another rock bottom and you may be looking around and thinking, how do I get from here back to where I was? You start over. One step at a time. Starting over sounds scary, but there is good news. Your muscles have memory. Your body remembers healthy eating, and you can catch up on your sleep, but it's not going to happen in one day. It took you more than one day to reach this rock bottom place. One day of not cleaning up doesn't bring a mess into your life. One day of extra spending doesn't necessarily lead to a negative cash flow situation, so it's going to take a few days or even weeks to get back to where you were. The fastest way to start climbing up from rock bottom is to take small steps and focus on little wins. Do one small chore that's fallen by the wayside, and then one reward to yourself, and do one small act of self-care too. As you do one, the other becomes easier, and you climb back up from your rock bottom. Once you've taken the first step and have that first little win, you can take another. Maybe tomorrow you'll clean one part of your house or deal with one bill that got thrown into a pile. Set a goal or a timer, and once you reach that number or that time, stop and take some time to reward yourself for the progress you've made. Just for tonight, take 5 minutes to meditate. It doesn't have to be the whole hour that you used to do, as long as you're doing something. Maybe you're starting over with your budget, so you can't go get a massage or facial or have a spa day right now. Just for today, try doing your nails at home, or just for this afternoon, take a 10-minute walk. Anything that leaves you thinking, oh, that feels better, after you do it. You can even schedule appointments for time to spoil yourself a little, even if you just mark enough time in your calendar for simple things like lighting a candle and meditating, taking a walk or a nap, or watching a movie, something that's just for you. You'll still have to take the right actions and take care of the things you're required to care for in your life. But you can also honor an appointment with yourself as much as you show up for the other people or situations or emergencies that threw you into survival mode in the first place. Your body and your mind need that break. They need a respite in order to continue getting you from that rock bottom place back into your life. Without it, it's like not putting fuel in your car and expecting to go on a road trip. You know that sooner or later, you're just going to run out of gas. With your brain and body fueled up and ready to go, however, you will be able to come up with new strategies for resolving whatever issues come up. You define your self-care. You have to take care of yourself before you help all the other people that you care for. Let me say that again. You have to take care of yourself first. Self-care looks different for everybody. It may include meditating, praying or another spiritual practice, doing yoga, walking, running, lifting weights, playing sports, playing a musical instrument, seeing a movie, dancing, journaling, reading, being in nature, gardening, horseback riding, getting your hair or nails done, getting a facial or massage, painting a picture or creating art, sleeping in or taking a nap as a gift to your body, just sitting and being happy doing nothing. What do all these things have in common? They are activities that you do for you. And if you're not used to practicing self-care, how do you get started? Self-care is individual. It's whatever fills your soul, not anybody else's. So first, think about what fuels you. You may have to go back in your memory a couple decades to find something you used to love that has fallen away in your life. When I was a kid, I was on the swim team. That was my meditation. When things were going wrong at home, I would go swim laps for hours. I still like to swim whenever I can. It doesn't feel like working out. Swimming energizes me. I just lose myself in the quiet, peaceful rhythm. It's the best medicine in the world for me. A friend I used to go to the spa with loves being in the wilderness. For her, it is heaven. Her favorite vacation of all time was a hiking trip where she carried everything in a backpack, went to the bathroom in bushes, and swam naked in the lake. She was one with nature, and that was a spiritual experience for her. That wouldn't do it for me. I liked the spa because it was elegant. We got massages every day and had a chef preparing our meals. They took care of us. Putting on a backpack, walking across the country, and sleeping in the cold woods would be torture for me. Self-care is different for everyone. Your partner's definition and your child's definition and your definition of passion and relaxation are probably all going to differ. You have to honor those differences and evaluate what that is for you. How are you going to take a break? What is your release? How do you meditate and relax and refuel? What are those things you've done throughout your life that have caused you to lose all sense of time? When you're in that flow state, so connected with whatever you're doing that nothing else matters, it gives you that break and that sense of peace.
I have to let you know something, just between you and me. This book is not one size fits all, just like a pair of boots or a bra. So the formula is designed to help you through any situation. Up for you to grab a copy of my new best-selling book, Bootstraps and Bra Straps, the formula to go from rock bottom back into action in any situation. It is now available on Audible
as well as on Amazon and Kindle, and at www.sheilamac.com.
How can this be magical and fun and beautiful today? I really did this. I was all by myself and I said it out loud. How can this be more magical, fun, positive, and beautiful today?
All right, and this other thing about manifesting is that there also needs to be some work involved. Well, I have a special share for you. If you're just tuning in, this is NBC Sheila Mac Show here on KCAA Radio, the station that leaves no listener behind. And I'm here to help you reinvent, rebuild, and reboot your business and personal life on your terms, even during these interesting times. Today we had an incredible guest share about how to be recession proof and health conscious by sprouting at home, an organic and natural way to save on your bills. And I have many other ways that I share in my careers and reboot section on my website, and I will also share some links on this page. If you go to Sheila Mac Show on YouTube and look for this episode, you'll find it there. And also you can find it on my link tree in my profile on Instagram and TikTok, which is both at Sheila Mac Show. And my website is sheilamac.com. So I look forward to sharing with you. Now, I do have 6 grown children, and I have found some tried and true ways to get some real extra income and real savings that will help you during this very interesting time of change. And I totally believe that in community, we shall find freedom and even more success.
Is not one size fits all, just like a pair of boots or a bra. So the formula is designed to help you through any situation.
Grab a copy of my new best-selling book, Bootstraps and Bra Straps, the formula to go from rock bottom back into action in any situation. It is now available on Audible as well as on Amazon and Kindle, and at www.sheilamac.com.